All right. This logger program, anybody can use to watch a net. And that's the URL, logger, Logger dot plum, PLUMTX.com. And we have that address at our Fort Pierce website all the time too. Now, there's a couple of ways to use this. Everyone in your club who is checking in or not can go to this address and pick their net. Okay. The South Florida Aries net ran this morning, and these are the guys that checked in. And this is what people see without logging in. We'll get into the net controller and how he does the actual logging. These guys like to use the map comment for where the county is. And all this information is, the check-ins are in order. And the time is over here. And every net has an offset from UTC. And I'll explain that in a bit. On this screen, you can see their call sign, the first name, the comment field, which is various ways to put information in there as a net controller. We also have a pre-net situation where I use it 15, 20 minutes before a net. We see who's alive and we recall those guys later. And we have a no traffic checkbox, Echolink hotspot if you want to use it. And whoever the NCS is, which happened to be Jerry today, it's checked off. And they have, we have a column for the ARR designation, like emergency coordinator. If you're a VE, this is all in your permanent record, and you can see who it is and what's going on. Now, in this particular net, South Florida Aries net, there's a section here where you can put in we call a mini web page. Everybody who has a net can put in all kinds of information. And when somebody goes in during the net, this is up there for them to see. And if somebody's looking around thinking, saying, gee, when is there a D-Star net? Okay, well, if they go up and click D-Star net, they can see this is Treasure Coast D-Star net and the NCSs and the days and the time that this net runs if you want to join it. So this is like a little bit of an advertisement for you guys. Now, one thing you'll notice is there's no check-ins because today is the 16th and the last check-in they had was on the 14th. And the last 5 nets are showing on the screen. If you would select it, you would see who checked in to this particular D-Star net. Now, the purple is a designation that's the last guy he talked to. And if you wanted to go earlier, you hit the 31st, and that's who was on the 31st. And it's a little something. And this is the check-in time, military time, 2056. You can hide this list. You probably don't need it. And up here, if you don't want to see all this stuff, you can hide it also and just concentrate on what's going on here. One of the features you should know is as the net controller is putting in names, they won't show up here unless you hit refresh or you have the auto refresh so that every 15 seconds it updates the net. Now, another thing is this has a map of today's check-ins, and you can see, and if you mouse over, you can see who the red is the NCO. And if you click on it, it gives you information like the last time he checked in, and if there's a notes about the guy, or if he wants notes, it shows on the screen. So all your guys are here for this particular date. Now, it's only this particular date if you have this checked. If you want to include previous dates, let's go back a bit. Simply uncheck this and hit the refresh, and then you get a few more people. And in this case, it's the same guys. They don't have much. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to go to somebody else here. We'll go down to let's see. I had in particular. All right. There's a repeater net. And if I click on this date, I can see who checked in that date. And if I go back a bit, we should get a few more. We'll see. And we might, yeah, same guys. Okay. Well, that didn't show that. Okay. Again, on this particular screen, you have the README, which tells you everything you can do and what's available. There's a lot of features. But we're going to go, but this particular screen here is for all your guys. They don't have to log in. They just pick the net and they can watch this activity that's going on today. And which is nice. You can see who's going on. There are two colored designations. The yellow is a recheck, or he called the guy and he didn't answer. So the NCO checks it so he remembers to go back to that guy. In this particular case, Jesse was the last guy he spoke to. And usually, as when you're running a net, you're going up the pike unless you're doing a second round. And you could also see who's on Echolink if you're using Echolink, because the NCS will check that. And some guys like to tell you that they're WinLink guys, so that's in the checkbox too, which, as you know, WinLink is getting very popular. So again, this is for today. If you check in today, this shows, because today's date, 6/16, is the date that they checked in, which was this morning at 8 o'clock. So if you have this logger.plumtx.com address, you can pick your net that you're in and see the activity as it happens, which is nice. And especially sometimes I forget first names, or I only know the first names, and now I got the full call sign. And I may want to talk to the guy later or after the net. It gives you some information. Now, on the UTC, we have, I'm trying to figure out who's active that's throughout the country. I don't see it. Oh, here it is. New Zealand. They use 12 as their offset, but some of the guys are in Texas. What they could do, if they wanted to, is change the offset for today, for now, for themselves, and they would see the check-in time as the current time. Some of these nets go on for a while. And again, this is New Zealand, and we're going to hit the view map. And notice every net has the ability to pick an area, a zoom level, and if you hit control, there's the other guys. If that makes any sense. And that's the net controller, Kimberly, ZL4KJ. And I'm going to show you how the map's going to work for you. And everybody has their own map. And it has to do now. When you click on a date, okay, it's going to do, let's do 4:30. Let's see, go back here. on it 4:30, refresh. Okay, these are the guys that were in there on 4:30, only on that day. If you wanted an accumulation, you could hit the refresh and you would get a few more people from this period forward. I don't know if that makes sense. And it also telling you that there's a count of 7 on this particular list. I know I went through that very fast. Now's the time for some questions. What do you guys, anything in particular on looking at this if you're at home during a net?
How many different places are already signing on to use this right now?
Just this list.
Which is about how many?
I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, maybe 20.
Okay, that's not bad, because how long has the software been available for people to use?
It's only been out of beta for I think about a month.
Okay, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, we're gonna get the word out. I'm very happy to explain it to you guys. Maybe you'll find it interest. The guys that are using it are very enthused and they like it better than paper. And what's also nice is there's features like the mini win link, which website, which tells people when they're checking in what the club's doing, instead of, for that particular net. And for Fort Pierce, if you hit the Fort Pierce repeater, it'll tell you the frequencies, the echo link, the NCS schedule, and the regular meeting times. This is right there in their face if they go to this. So I'll show you how the net controller, only the people that have admin privileges can do that. Now, if you have your own net and you're not signed in already, all you have to do is on the front page, it says sign in form. You click on that and you fill in this form. And this is just, who's your net? And down here, you put in your longitude and latitude of the center of your map and what zoom level you would like, whether it would be 3 for multi-continent or 9 for big city. And that's how it starts out when somebody pops a net. Plus, put in your local offset so that everybody sees the time as it is locally. So easy enough. And when you do this, you get sent an email. Your login is always your call sign, but you'll get sent a password by email. And once the person that does this, he will be the admin. He's able to put in other names and other NCOs. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Let me go up to here. So once you do that sign-in sheet again, once you get it all filled out, you do the CAPTCHA. This keeps the hackers out. Enter the code here, hit the submit button, and you will get an email in a minute. Okay. Now, as the net controller, I'm going to sign in to the Fort Pierce Club. You have to pick your club because you can manage a couple of different nets. So you could have the same call sign and password, but you have to select your net. And so I'm going to select this net. And when I go in, this is what the administrator would see. And actually, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and pick the test one for a couple of reasons. Here we go. There's a test network here. See the testing network? If you would like to use a test network, here is the call sign, the fake call sign to log in and the password. So if you want to play with this all day long, you can go to the testing network. And when you log in, you have to use this login here. which I will use, and I will pick the test network and I'll log in. So I am now in the test net, okay, the admin menu, and I can play around with this. But before I go into checking it out, by the way, you can always view the map of who's in, where they are. They're all over the place. All right, we have a couple of features. Remember I was talking to you about the map setup? Well, this is the map setup for the test network. A zoom level 9. You can change it anytime. That's a Google designation. Zoom level 9 is a large city. And then you say center my map when it comes up. In this case, we put 27.6 and the west is -60. Club URL you put there. Your standard offset is you put here, you can change it. And this is the club description.
Okay. How you doing? Okay. I'm going to get my phone. Thank you.
Okay, that's not for me.
182.
Okay, so this section here, the net controller can change the center of the map, the zoom level that people see to start out. And he can also change the name of the net if he wants to add a little something to it, but there's a lot more than just that. We have here the mini web page. Okay, you can put in all the information every week or different things about your club. And when people come in, if there's changes or special meetings or presentations, they're right there on the screen. This is useful for some of the nets that do not have websites. If you have a website, that's great. Also, you can put in a preamble, and this preamble, the NCO can use. So you can have preambles for 1 or 2 nets. We have the Skywarn net also. And this kind of information is good that you can grab right away. And I'll show you how to do that. Right up here, it says view preamble. All right, up comes the preamble and you can talk it up. Or if you have more than 1 net, you can pick a second preamble. All the preambles you want are in there. Now, another cool thing you can do as the admin is you can download the context for a day, and you name the file test for what test. Oh, you're right, test. My keyboard is not working. Okay, that's good. Anyway, you pick what you want in the download and you hit submit, and you get a comma delimited file, which you can copy and paste and stick in WinLink or stick it in an Excel spreadsheet, or you could just download a file. Now here is the file name. If you don't want to do a cut and paste, you want an actual file. All right, so we're going to hit that, and there's the file. And I can open the file over here, and there it is in a spreadsheet. And it's actually comma delimited. You with me on that? Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, good. So you can even put it in different order if you'd like, or you can skip a field. You can have the grid view, the check-in time, the comments, the guy's QTH, first name, the actual name of the net, and the date of the check-in. So this is all available forever. Let's see. What else can we do? All right. Some nets, if they want, they can have a local repeater net, which is total map, which is totally separate. And we use this for WinLink messaging and also for shelters. you can rig this up very easy, and you can then identify shelters, hospitals, or repeaters. Make sense? And
So
all
far.
you do is just enter the location, longitude, latitude, put in your comment, and you need to edit it, cancel your edit, delete it, whatever you need to do. You've got a repeater map, which is different from the check-in map. You with me?
Mm-hmm.
Are we okay on that? All right. Now, how do you actually check people in? Well, we hit up here, add edit check-ins. Now notice there's 4 people in here. Well, when we went to the front, those 4 people show up here. And if I delete one of the guys, because that was a mistake, and I went over here and hit her, and the refresh was on, it would disappear over here instantaneously. So there's a direct sync and link between this is what your net controller would do. Now, how do you check people in? You put in a call sign here by hand and hit add check-in, and it's done. Now, notice all this extra information like longitude, latitude, QRZ, grid, email, location. This all comes from the FCC database. And this is what we call the master list. These are the guys that always check in. So instead of typing in the call sign up here, let me make this a little bigger. This is in call sign order. All you have to do is hit check in, and the guy's up here on top. Did you see that happen? Did everybody see how I put one of the guys on this list up in the check-in list?
Where did you click check it?
I clicked check-in.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna check in Gary. So I'm gonna hit check-in, and notice at the screen up at the top, and notice the count says 5. It keeps count, so you don't even have to count. When you have a big net, people like that. All right, I just hit Gary. He went up to the top. That's the time he checked in. And, but this is UTC time. Now, we have these little, the purple and yellow. If you're talking to me, KK4SHF, and you want to tell everybody that's who you're talking to, and you've been talking to a while. So if somebody's on the front screen, okay, they can see that you're talking to John. You can do this or not do it. This is up to you. Another thing is, if John didn't answer when you called him, you can just click TL, talk later, and then you can hit the next guy. Now, there's a comment field here. If you hit the edit button, you can put selling IC 817. Okay. Email him. Okay. So the guy's talking and he has some kind of comment. He broke his leg. He has something for sale. You can just say that in the comment, and the people up front will see that he has a IC 817 for sale. So if somebody makes a comment that you want to remember during the net, you can easily put it in by hitting the edit button, type it in. Need WinLink Elmer, ELMER, need WinLink Elmer. And you hit the update button to save it. Again, it's edit, type in or check what you want, and then hit update. And some guys, like this guy Gary, he has no traffic. So we're just gonna mention that. So if we do a second round or our third round, we know he's not talking. Now, this is the list that's in order. If for some reason you want to change this order, you can hit the from button and click one of these arrows to make it go above or below that particular call sign. See how we moved them? You guys catch that?
Yes,
Okay. So if you wanted to change the list, I don't usually do that. I just go up down the list. And if I call this guy again and he finally answers or not, I just uncheck him. Just check, check, check. That's all it's all about. And again, okay. What else? All right.
how do you get the
If-
master list? Does it automatically download it?
Yes. If you give me a call sign, it's not on this list. Here, let me see. Let's see, okay. N3TVV, okay? If I hit check in up, he's not on my list here, okay? So I'm hand typing it in. I hit the check in and bango, it goes out to the database and puts him in. There it is, N3TVV. His last name is Bott. He's in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. That's his email, his grid view, longitude, latitude. And there's also a QRZ. If you want to know something about the guy, you can click the QRZ button and pretend you know him. Make sense? You with me? You guys use QRZ, yeah, I assume, once in a while. And the ARRL designation is also in this master list. So under ARRL, you can type in any of the ARRL designations. Any questions about using this? Again, this master list gets bigger, as your guys check in. It's in call sign order. But if you didn't get the guy's call sign, he had his first name, you can click this, the first name column top, and everybody now is in first name order. And, oh, Gary, oh, it's this guy. I know who it is. Or you can go back to call sign order, or last name order, or city state. Whatever you want to sort, you just click on the top column head and it goes from forward to reverse. I like it in regular call sign order, which is the way it normally is. And I work it that way. Make sense, guys? Yes, no? Any other questions on this?
Yeah, Larry had his hand raised before I did.
Okay, yeah, I have a question now. When I have multiple NCOs.
Okay,
So when I log
Very good.
myself in, how do I get all those? I mean, I may not be around when we're doing a net or something. How can the multiple NCOs get in? Are there a list I can put
Okay.
on where they are also administrators?
very easy. If I can move the screen, which I'm having a little trouble doing. Here we go. All right. Let's talk about that. All right, I'm going to close this. On again, your admin menu, you have a admin login editor. You see that link? When you click
Yeah.
on that, you now can add, I'm going to add this guy. All right. And I want to put in a password for him. And I know his name is Dave. And his email address is this URL. Add a good email at arrl.net. And I don't know his phone, and he's an NCO. Now, by having this checked, NCO, which is the default, he can now log in. And as long as he knows his password, and he can run the net. Some of these nets are using 2 NCOs. One guy may be for relays, if it's an HF net, or one guy is actually doing most of the logging, and maybe another guy's filling in if he can hear better. So you're gonna have 2 guys work on this at the same time. And this editor screen, notice there's an edit button here. You click on here to edit, and you see it's in edit mode. When you can either cancel, edit, or when you do update, it's actually a save. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So in other words,
Okay.
I could have, how many is the maximum number of NCOs can you put up there?
647,321.
Okay, so now, okay, that answers the question very well. Thank you very much.
Okay, and I just want you to show you another column, the admin column. The admin column, the admin, there's only one admin right now, but you could make the other guys admins also. The admin is the only person that can change this, okay? The logins. But if I logged in as an NCO and I came to this screen, I would just see myself, so I could change my own password. Does that make sense? So an NCO could change his own password. So you have plenty of flexibility there. And you saw how it gets all the basic information. When I get a call sign from somebody, I don't know who it is, it's great that I get their first name, their location, and I can see if I pull the map up where the longitude and latitude is for the guy. So it gives you a lot of information. Plus you can hit the QRZ button link when you add a guy, and you know, if he has anything, if he uses it like some people do. Let me see, I use QRZ, and I put in all kinds of junk. But you could a lot of times get a lot of information about the guy, you know, how do you like your flex, whatever. Now, the longitudes and latitude is here. If a guy, some guys are snowbirds, and if they're a snowbird, they can email you or tell you what their new longitude and latitude is, and you can just put it in there for now, and he has to get it on the way back. You can also clicking this button, you can also re-update it to what the FCC says. So you have that kind of flexibility too. The last little tricko is, see these map notes? They show on the map. But if you wanted to, and you have this clicked, when somebody logs in, okay, here we go. There you go. It'll put in their comments. There we go. It put in the comments from the Matt note instead of you typing it in. So you can automatically bring that up if you want. And I'll tell you who uses that. They use that for the counties in the South Florida AriesNet. When people check in, it's recording their county and the guy doesn't have to type it in. It's just automatic. And it's also nice to see what the guy's designation is in his county. Make sense?
Yes.
again, the best way to use this thing is just come in here and click on some of these nets or go to the testing network and just log in. You have to match up the net with your call sign and password, log in and sit here and knock yourself out. You can't hurt anything. You want to start, now this is today's date. If I had put this in a little earlier, that's why there was 4 people. But you could put in another date and hit the refresh, and now you have no check-ins for 6/14, and now you can start checking in or whatever you want to do. Does it make sense?
Mhm.
So that's how you would practice. And, you know, just knock yourself out and play with this, the test net. You can also do when people start out the first time, it's always good to practice. But what I tell them to do is put in the guy's call sign. They must have a list from the last check-in or something. Put them in on a different date, like a back date, like 6/1. And this creates for you the master list. So it's easier when you're live to just check on these things. And again, sometimes it's easier to have 2 people work it, one guy working the radio and one guy checking in the beginning. But what we're finding is it's creating some interest when people go to a net. Now they can actually see who's on the net, and there's a little more interest in hanging out and seeing who's what and who's doing whatever. Okay. And we have a way of customizing a lot of this and how it works and how you may want it to work for your particular net. So that's my 2 cents. And I know I went through it fast, but again, the best thing to do is come in here and play around with it. And if you've got 15 minutes, every possible bell and whistle I could think of, I put in here. And the mini web page, again, I can't stress how helpful it is that when somebody goes into your net, you can see where the action is and what they're doing. And now I didn't even know that the South Florida Aries net existed. But when I saw it and I could see, oh, it's at 3940 at 8 a.m. Well, I can do that. So I've been checking in occasionally. And as you see, I checked in today. And if you're thinking of going to New Zealand, you can, guess what? She's taking, now here's her website right here. You can check in by HF. And if her site's up, there it is. Yay. All right. She has WinLink weekend. So for 2 days, you can send her a WinLink message because that's what they like using in New Zealand. And here's the explanation as to how to use it. And you can check into her net. Oops, I hope I'm still online. Did I mess it up? Nope. Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm still good. All right. That's about it.
Okay. Well, Brett has a question, and then Dan WL7COO also has a question. Why don't you go with your-
I see you up there. What's
Hi,
up?
John. Hi. Good evening, John. I have just a quick question for you. I just keyed up my D-Star on the Florida net. Is it possible that it would show up on your screen if you went to D-Star?
All right. Say that again.
I just keyed up my my D-Star radio on the Florida net.
Okay.
Would it come up on the screen on the D-Star?
You mean here?
Yeah.
Okay, the Treasure Coast D-Star net.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I just checked, I just fired up the radio and I
Oh,
keyed
it's
it
not
up.
gonna, the radio is not gonna do it. You have to have your NCO. Okay, this is the Treasure Coast D-Star net in here.
Okay,
And the Treasure Coast D-Star net is on Tuesday nights, as it says, at 8:30, reflector 78 Charlie. So
okay,
when you check in, okay, they will click on it and you will be on there permanently. And you'll
okay,
be able to see, like the last net was the 14th. And these are the guys that checked in. That's a short list. It was a short week last week. Everybody, everywhere, even the analog nets, there weren't that many people. I don't know what the deal was. Maybe they were suffering from high gas prices. I don't know what did that. But anyway, these are the guys using D-Star at 78 Charlie, as you can see right there.
okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that information. Thank you.
You're welcome. I
Dan,
hope that,
COO, what is your question, please?
Well,
Yes,
first,
sir.
hello, John, and thank you for making the presentation and making your work available. I'm
it's all
curious.
fun.
I'm curious about the data management and your last comment there about you can see previous nets. Is this being stored on a cloud someplace? And do you need, or do you need to use the downloader to download individual nets or groups of nets?
Okay, we're saving it in the cloud. I have a computer company, software company, and we have hundreds of customers. And we're using, I'm using the cloud, which we have available to us for various software programs. I also do a virtual ticket program for Hamfests and a few other things, but this is in the cloud and it'll save forever. And you'll be able to go back and pull up any particular date and time. Make sense?
And so these note fields you have are obviously set up to be like you can select fonts and stuff. What is that being stored as? What type of data? And is it limited for each note or comment in size?
Okay, I think I know what you're saying. Are you talking about the mini web page?
Mini web page and the
Okay.
map notes, anything that
Oh.
where you would be documenting what somebody says during one of the nets.
Okay, this is stored. Okay, this mini web page, notice that there's all kinds of controls. There's bold. Okay,
All the standard stuff you want to see when you're composing a web page.
yes, it's HTML. Now notice there's a source button right here. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, there's your source. And if you're familiar with HTML, that's what it is. You could HTML it if you wanted to.
The question is there a limit to the size of the data that you can associate with this? And can you import HTML from other sources in one of these mini web pages?
All right, here, yes. Okay, the answer is, I think I might be limiting it just for fun to 4,000 characters.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's what I did. I don't like things to be unlimited in case a hacker runs in. But
No, 4K is plenty to say what anybody's got to say during a net.
I would say, well, yeah, but see the source button, you would take the raw HTML that you have. You do not have to, you don't put in the header and the body and the close. You just put the HTML that you would normally have on the inside of a web page. And if you're familiar with what I'm talking about, you know exactly what I'm saying. This
Okay,
is,
if we just dumped text into the editor, wouldn't this format it in HTML5?
yeah.
Okay,
Okay, now I could do, here we go. I could make this size 20. You with me?
yeah,
that-
I applaud the flexibility that you've built into this, because it's just, I can't imagine anybody wanting or needing anything that this doesn't accommodate. My question is purely, first of all, the data retention cycle and the size. And then my next question is going to be, is it any way to make it full text searchable? Because you're going to be recording a whole lot of stuff and you won't remember which date it was or necessarily who said it.
You could, yes. Yeah, I can do any, software wise, famous last words. I can do anything. I hadn't thought of a need to do searches except to look at the archives. And one of the things we could do, as you notice in the downloader, instead of having just one date, I could have a date range. And you could see, and we could do, and this would go into a spreadsheet, or this could just go into a giant text box and you could do your searches on it. So, you know, it's very easy to turn this into, now, instead of just on the screen, when you unclick this, it makes a file, a text file, a CSV file in common delimited order. So we could put I could put a date range here, and you could have a year dump of conversations, dates, but in a common delimited order, which allows you to manipulate it in Excel, or you could even load it into another SQL database and knock yourself out. Is that kind of what you're asking?
Yeah, and the reason is obvious. If you're an SEC, sooner or later, we're going to have to report to ARRL what's going on in our sections.
Oh,
But
well,
they've yet to acknowledge that the ECs own the data and they have a lot of make work stuff. But with something like this, I'm thinking we could give them the actual accomplishments and the work done on
Yeah,
a
you
on
could-
a
you
on
could-
a, on a
yeah.
month by month basis, perhaps, or on an annual basis, depending on how serious they get.
yeah,
Yep.
well, yeah, the data is your data.
No, the data is the EC's data and the volunteers
No, it's
data.
not. No, it's not. Absolutely not. Okay, we've had this issue a million times. If
Okay,
you're using this program or any other program, the users, the actual physical users are the owners. Nobody can take it from you, and I can't take it from you. I can't say,
we
like,
don't disagree. I meant to say that because the ECs would presumably be having net control stations or NCOs in your lingo, entering the net data, which is what makes us a cohesive body nationwide.
well, listen, we're not stopping anybody from using this at all. And the idea is to take advantage of it any way we can. And we're storing the data on purpose so that you guys can take advantage of it and do statistics or get grants or whatever you want to do. What I'm saying is the club owns the data. They can do whatever they want with it and it'll be stored.
It's very kind and altruistic of you. I'll be spending some time, working with this just to see if we can fit it to our needs.
Having that date would be a big help.
I'm sorry?
Having the date range would be a big help.
Yeah, easy enough. You got to understand that I whipped this up in a couple weeks and I've been getting feedback from people. And when you're making something the first time, it's we make a lot of applications, so I can kind of guess 90% of what you guys may want to use this for. And again, we're programmers and we can turn data upside down and backwards for you. So we're looking for suggestions, and we'll be happy to put them in, unless you're crazy, and we'll go with that. Now I want to show you one more thing before we get off of here. WinLink is very popular. We had the FEMA and it's St. Lucie County wanted to see what we were doing, how we were messaging between the hospitals and everything, and we use WinLink. I have a net, w4akh.net, which is now grown, and this week we had 334 check-ins, and New Zealand, Canada, Florida, and these are all states, Kentucky, Washington, Alabama. All these guys checked in this week, and they sent us 9 pictures by WinLink, and they sent in 31 forms, and they used Vera, Packet, RDOP, if you guys are familiar with that, APRS, and a few other things. And then we also log, see, some of these guys try different modes. I don't know if you can read this, like Roger K4RS, he's in Florida. Bowling Green, he used RDOP on HF 20 meters, 80 meters, 40 meters. This is very valuable information to know who, what, when, and where you can message if something goes wrong. Plus, we put it on a map so you can see who's checked in this time. And you just mouse over, you can see the call sign, click on it. Last time he checked in, it's a guy out in Hawaii just did this week. And we got a guy over here in wherever the heck that is. I think he's Sweden. But as you can see, WinLink we're getting a really good group in WinLink. And we have archived reports also, just like what we talked about there, but this is a different animal. WinLink is really, and here's our NCS, our P2P stations. They're on HF. Here's the frequencies, 7112, 3590. Here's the guy's schedule. And all these NCS guys can put in their own schedule, or NCOs, whatever you want to call them. It's Friday, Sunday, Monday. So you can contact these guys direct instead of using a public RMS post office, etc. For fun, they send pictures too by radio. Here are the recent pictures. Can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So part of the exercise is practice sending pictures, if you want to do that. Plus they send forms. So WinLink is, we really have WinLink under control here. And plus we have a lot of, we've got links as to how to use WinLink, documents, et cetera, et cetera. W4AKH. When the disaster hits, communication should be at its best. We all know that. Okay.
Tammy had a question. Tammy, you want to go ahead?
Go ahead, Tammy.
Okay, I've been making notes of my questions, and some of them you might have answered and the kid might have talked at the same time and I missed it. Okay, does this cost for the net controllers to use it?
Does it cost?
Yes.
No. If you want to donate a case of beer, I'll gladly take it. I'll give you my address.
Okay.
I run out of beer usually once a month.
Okay,
what
I
else?
made something that I've been personally using when I am the one hosting the net, and I'm one of 7 people who usually host it because we do it every day. And mine, I've got it where I can just type in suffixes and then look instead of necessarily catching the entire call sign. Is there a way that I would be able to still use the suffixes and not necessarily catch the entire call sign every time?
You don't have to type in the call sign ever. I'll show you why. Okay, if KK4CID or CID is all you heard, just called in, I click check in and he's on the list. No typing. You won't have to type in once you get most of your list going. Now,
How organized is that list?
now, pardon me, ma'am?
How is the list organized, or how organized is the list? Because my list of people who have ever checked in is a couple hundred people.
Well, what I suggest is you just put in the ones that have checked in the last month and ahead of time. In other words, pick a day and start putting the call signs in, okay? And they'll show up on your master list. And these are the repeat guys. You don't have 200 people. How many people check in last net?
Last net, probably 30. And in
Oh.
the last week, probably 50.
Okay, so you got a big list. All right. What you can do, and I'm pretty sure this will work. What we'll do, and it's real easy for me to do, I remember this. See this find box?
Yeah.
I will make it so that it's a quick change. You can put in a couple letters of a call sign and it'll show you, let's say you put in KG. Well, and you hit the search. If it's 3 KG guys, it'll show you right there in your face and you just hit check it.
That sounds good. That's the sort of thing I want to hear.
Well, I like suggestions like that. This particular find is set only to do the exact at the moment.
Ooh, yeah, no. Yeah,
Okay.
I like wild cards. I'm a big fan of wild cards. I play with them. I live with wild cards when I'm on QRZ.
Well, I know for a fact, my wife doesn't want me anywhere near wild women, so I'll be careful.
Okay,
Anyway.
and then my last question, and I know you've gone back and forth talking about it. The part that's the preamble and NCO notes. So I know that almost every day, I mean, people are like, oh, let me see if I can find where I put a preamble, or, some of them know where it is. I'm always searching for it. If we could have that in there, and then we have weekly notes every week, and most of the time, half the people can't find their notes when it's their day. If that stuff is in there, is that something that anybody going to your website will then be able to look at the preamble and the notes, or is that something that only the controllers will be seeing?
Okay, right now, there's no reason to make the preamble private.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so what I will do, and that's another good suggestion. I'm glad you came aboard here today. It's two good suggestions. I will put a link here when you pick a net that'll say preamble, and it'll pop up the preambles, and you could have a couple preambles in there if you have 2 or 3 nets. And the way that works is you go into the link here that says edit homepage and preamble. So you click on that and you either select an existing one that you haven't worked with and fill it in, or you make a new one. And to make a new one, what you do is put in a title that's different than what's up here, and then hit save new page. That's what the instructions say right here. And
Okay.
bango, now you have an additional preamble, which we're going to make show on the front page. And people, when they select, and what we'll do is when they select your net, I guess I'll have the preamble link over here on the right. They can click on it, it'll pop on another tab, and they'll be able to see the preamble. But normally the preamble is only read by the NCO, net control operator.
Mhm.
That's why I put it in the back, but it doesn't matter because it's not a private thing. So we can certainly put it in front. I really don't know why you would want to put it in front, but it makes no difference to me.
The main thing that'd be interesting to have in the front, that the only way I can think to do it is to have it like just under the preamble, is that we've got a weekly announcement that everybody's supposed to read halfway through their net. That is, okay, we've got field day coming up. It's going to be at Frank's house, and here's the address, and our next meeting's going to be, and all that sort of stuff. And so if there was a way to, for us to be able to just click and go this week's announcement, and then the guy who's in charge of sending out the announcements every week could just put it in there every week instead. And then when you're in, you just click.
Okay, hold your horses. We already have that feature.
Cool, great.
I'll show you what it is. See, it says edit. Can you read this? Edit.
Oh yeah.
I got to make this bigger. Oops. Okay. Edit home page.
Mhm.
Come up here and pick home page, and whatever you have in here, okay, is going to show immediately when somebody selects one of these buttons. So this is today's announcements. It's already working. And that's what we call our it's not the preamble. The preambles, well, again, the person could read the front page in addition to, that's my suggestion, in addition to the preamble, which is set. A preamble is set. And you got a spot here that says announcements, and he just switches over to here where any one of the net control officers could have, see, this is for everybody to see all the time.
Uh-huh.
And he could stop and read that, but he could just say, hey, the announcements are on the front page. Bango. It's right there. And this front page is the when you sign in, you get a front page and a preamble, and you can add more preambles. But the front page will always show here, and that's where you should put current information, because somebody any day during the week, let me see, who was just, these guys. All right, Eastern Pennsylvania. If they've got something they want to talk about, they put it here during the week, and I can go look instead of going to the website, because this is quick and easy for them to do. And some of these guys don't have a website, like the Repeater Net. They don't have a website. So they're going to start putting information when they have dinners and all that kind of stuff on the front page, not in the preamble. The preamble is the purpose of a preamble is it's kind of steady, standard way to deal with your net.
QST, QST, QST. This is the Northwest Traffic Net. This net has 97, that thing.
Yeah, that's obviously your preamble. Now, if in the middle of the preamble you stop for announcements, you could just say to everybody, go to the front page of this net and read it, but you could read it yourself at the same time. But this, I know when people whip off the announcements, I like to be able to see them because I can't remember half of what they say, especially if they put out numbers. Like we're meeting.
Yeah, I like that, being able to go back and people being able to go back and look at it.
Yeah,
like
so
that.
you'll be able to control that. So I will do the wild card, and I'm going to write that down because I have such a good memory. And the wild card will be working tomorrow. You knock yourself out.
Now you got to remember where you put the note.
I put it on my keyboard. So I'm gonna get it first thing in the morning for sure. Feel free to contact me if you want to discuss anything, or, you know, you can go to QRZ and get my email too. And I'm trying to make this useful for a lot of different nets. So we try to make decisions that are good for everybody. And you guys have made 2 good suggestions tonight, so I'm very happy that I gave you this demo, because they're all, I can see they're going to be valuable. Making the date range and doing the wild card. Piece of cake.
All right. Anybody else have questions?
Thank you for laying out your professional work for the use of the amateur radio service. That's a big give.
Well, it's our pleasure, and what good is having skills if you can't use them?
Stay
So-
healthy.
Yes.
I enjoy this, and I did most of this watching TV shows that with my wife that I hate to watch. You know what I'm talking about. All right, see you guys.
And I'll see you in field day.
Many
Yeah,
thanks.
and pass it around if you think anybody else is interested.
Okay, this has been being recorded. It will go out on YouTube and on a couple of other places. So it'll be.
Happy
If-
Father's
yeah.
Day.
If we can make this work, that'll be passing it around enough, because, you know, how do I say this? I think it offers more utility than most of us are using and just taking notes about our nets right now. Ever since they blew off the Aries Connect and the wonderful workbook that let us use all the data we put in, there's been a gap there, and this could fill that gap. And it's just going to be on a, hey, it works, so we'll use it basis.
Well, you don't have to install anything. You know, I was looking at some of the other logger programs, and I saw things missing, and I didn't like the idea that it only worked on a Windows PC, because you had to install something, and this way it'll just work on any browser. You can actually use this on your phone. It's designed to, let's see, here we go.
Something to think about for when it's not a blue sky and you want to use the same tools you're used to, is the ability to dump something locally and then load it later when connectivity is reestablished.
Yeah.
Which would mean some kind of applet that was downloadable long term, not now, not till it works exactly the way you want it to.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, just to give you an idea, I lost internet 2 days ago at my house here, my office, and all I did was turn on my phone and hit hotspot, and I was back in business. And this will work quite fine. Again, this works on your phone. It's dynamic in that the way it's designed is if you have a big screen, it'll work on a big screen, but if you have a small screen, it readjusts itself so you can see it on your phone. So, you know, to get the word out, explain to people, just go to this address, logger.plumtx.com, and watch the net and see if they can figure out that they have to select it. Now, when we get a larger list, we won't be doing this. We'll put in a search. Once it gets, I mean, this has only been over a month or so. I'd like to see more guys on it. Again, read the screen. there's lots of little information on these screens, and I have noticed people asking me, what button do I hit to download stuff? Well, look on the screen, it says download. So read these screens, they'll tell you a lot. And if you're really bored, hit read me and go through the whole thing. That'll take you a whole TV show. Okay, guys, thanks for the opportunity to show this. And I'd be happy if you guys would be able to use it. And if you have any stumbling blocks, you know how to get a hold of me.
Okay, great. Thank you, John. Well,
Thank you. I'll see you guys.
hopefully,
And
everybody will have a good Father's Day. And for those of you in South Florida, I'll probably see you on Field Day. Have a good night, everybody.
we will see you, Bear.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
I'm going to end this for everyone in the recording.